We are joined by attorney Jeff O'Brien for our weekly 3 and Out, usually sports stories. Last week it wasn't. We talked about Prince and still the legal issues from him not liking to do contracts. But today it's going to be about sports, and we're going to start. Number one's going to be the postseason for local teams. The heck with the Timberwolves. They really blew it after having a double-digit lead in the first half. Let's talk about the Wild and how they just plowed the Dallas Stars. And I'll tell you what, if that's an indication of them having another gear in the playoffs, watch out, Stars. Watch out, Colorado. Get that spot on the Stanley Cup ready to put engrave a few Wild names.
I mean, it is one game, and it is the Wild, and they've got to get rid of this first round playoff exit curse. But to go down to Dallas and beat them 6-1, it was a pretty convincing win.
I'll say, yeah.
Kirill had a goal and 2 assists. Eriksson Ek had 2 goals. Boldy had, I think, 2 goals and an assist. Wallstedt was amazing in goal. And here's the crazy thing about all that, Bob. So they go down, they win 6-1. Quinn Hughes, who has been lights out for them all year, arguably their most important acquisition and kind of how it all came together, he was not feeling. He was coming back from illness and was not. He wasn't a contributor to any of those goals and assists. So,
which is huge.
If he's feeling better for game 2, watch out.
Well, that's a great point, because if when he's on, this team could really start flying.
Yeah. I will feel much better, Bob, if they can come back from Dallas up 2-0. Then I think we could make this a really quick series, being here. And I love that it's the Dallas and the former North Stars. And Dallas put this X post up about this, the history and everything, and it was kind of like trying to salt the wounds a little bit. And it's like, I hope we finally just vanquish the North Stars ghost once and for all.
Well, I'll tell you. And what do you say about the postseason for hockey teams? Got to have the hot goalie. It appears they got the hot goalie because he was pretty hot going into the postseason.
He was literally a wall. Yeah.
Well, I hope that they stay with him until he does struggle.
Kudos to Coach Hines for starting the rookie over Gustafsson. And he Wallstedt looked great.
But stay with the hot hand.
Yep, that's kind of the key in the playoffs. You got to go with who's working for you.
And it would be terrific if they could pull this off. And what's 8 years in a row without getting out of the first round? So,
well, they said that this was their largest margin of victory in a playoff game since a win over Vancouver in 2003. And of course, 2003 was the year that they went to the conference finals.
And hit a team from Anaheim with a hot goalie. I was at all those games, so I remember. All right, now the other team in the postseason, the local team, your Minnesota Timberwolves, they looked pretty good in the first half. Second half, third quarter was miserable for them.
Yeah, this is going to be. I am legitimately worried about him in this series, Bob. That did not look good.
No, and I'm just, I think if they did exit in the first round, I would say they'll have a new coach on the bench, especially with new ownership. They got a guy they really like.
Yep,
and really want.
Agreed.
So it's going to be real interesting to see how it plays out. And both of them, both the Wild and the Timberwolves, play tonight. So we'll know by the end of the night where they're going to both be. If they're going to be, if one will be up 2-0, the other one will be down 0-2. We'll find out. All right, now let's move on to the next item of your choice.
Well, we've got more basketball. The Gophers have been a little busy. Niko Nedved's been a little busy with the transfer portal. They picked up 4 real key additions. They lost a few too, but they're looking on paper right now. They're looking like they could improve greatly over this last season. They picked up 2 guys from Michigan, Grady Winters and Malik Cordell. So they're 2 guys coming off the national championship team, didn't get a lot of playing time, so they were looking to make a move. They get Nolan Groves, who is a former Mr. Basketball Minnesota, and then they got Kyan Evans from North Carolina. So they've got they're looking really like they could improve.
Okay, here's my question. Where's the money? Where's the money coming from? The NIL money? Because obviously they're not coming for nothing.
Stories I can find, I don't see anything about the money. I'm assuming it's the Dinkytown athletes, but we always hear on the football side all of the complaining about how it's the NIL and the NIL. Niko's just going to work getting players that want to play.
Yeah,
here,
but they're not coming because they just want to play. They all would have had opportunities to go elsewhere for money. So I can't imagine they're not coming for something.
Well, yeah, they're coming for something, but it's
not huge though.
It's not making headlines.
Well, but two of them didn't play much for Michigan. You said, despite the fact that there was one heck of a team, and they're getting guys who weren't stars on the teams they're coming from, right? Or were any? None of them were they?
No, not yet. They weren't necessarily. I think the biggest surprise was Kyan Evans from North Carolina. I think that he was kind of seen as, and then and Groves obviously did stuff when he played high school here.
Yep.
And these Michigan guys, I think they've got upside potential. They didn't play a whole lot, so that they could have some breakout years here, and hopefully they can keep them for the year after that. But that's life in the NCAA right now. So let's hope that they put a good team on the floor and have a good year next year. Maybe they can get to the tournament again.
Well, we'll see how it all plays out. Now, tell me all about this Gopher gymnastic team. You're 4 on the floor, which is a pretty good thing. It's Frozen Four, Final Four.
We have the Frozen Four for hockey, but I kind of like this 4 on the floor. So the Gopher women's gymnastic team advanced to the Final Four, 4 on the floor.
Yeah,
they were the lowest seed ever to advance to it. They were 13th seed. They finished 4th in the tournament. Oklahoma won its 4th championship, but I don't know if they'd ever made it to the Final Four or the 4 on the floor before. So this is a big accomplishment in terms of getting there. But hey, congrats to them. I just wanted to. I like the as a car guy, I like 4 on the floor. So it's kind of a good tournament name. But no, kudos to the women's gymnastics team for a 4th place finish in the nationals.
All right, that's our 3 and out. Now I wanted to just mention this because you and I, we talked about it off the air. And I talked to Dave Bialke about it, but you were really young to remember. I mean, do you remember watching Doug Martin play? I mean, you would have been a kid.
It was funny. What I remember, because he was a 1980 draft first-round pick, and it's funny. I always kind of think of him, if you think of that Purple People Eaters 2.0 with Henry Thomas and Chris Dolman and Keith Millard.
And he was the 4th.
I kind of think of Martin as like the Gary Larson. He was the first one, and then Al Noga came in. There was that one, just like the original Purple People Eaters had the one slot that had 2 guys. That's kind of how I looked at that second front 4 of the 80s. And he was I just remember him as, I think he played, until those 3 arrived, he played on some pretty lean defensive lines for the Vikings.
Oh, yes, he did. But he also played on the 87 team.
Right. That's when they finally gelled and had the other when I think that was Henry Thomas's first year. So once Henry Thomas arrived, he had him and Dolman and Millard.
That was a great and Martin. That was a great.
Martin was the veteran
lineman.
And played a few years with them, and then Al Noga replaced him when he retired.
All right, here's a question I had. I talked to Dave about it too. Other than the Purple People Eaters, obviously, I think this is the best defensive line they've had. That was the 2nd best defensive line in franchise history.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah, we go back in at least of my era of Vikings football, and you look at teams that you thought could have it was disappointing that they didn't go all the way. I know everybody talks about 98 and 2009 with Favre, but 87 was the one that if Darren Nelson doesn't get in the way of that pass to Anthony Carter,
they win the Super Bowl because Washington crushed.
And they creamed Denver with that defense.
Yeah, that was a tough one. That was a great team. That 87 team. All right. Jeff is always greatly appreciated. Attorney Jeff O'Brien, we will take a quick break, and the BS Show will be right back.